Well, welcome to the Startup Mall here in Christchurch, and you're actually in an area that showcases the future of Christchurch. This is Julian Carver, who works for Land Information New Zealand. What exactly do you want to show here, Julian?
So we're in the Future Christchurch Showcase. This is a place where people in Restart Mall can come and see what the future of their central city is going to be. We're going to have a look at some of the ways that 3D technologies have been used to help people plan the future of the central city and then visualise the way it's going to look.
Great, and you looked at two-dimensional building footprints earlier today, so moving from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions, what's the benefit of that?
Well, as you know, humans exist in a three-dimensional world, 3 dimensions plus time, and we're able to represent lots of things in 2D on maps, and 3 dimensions is just adding height. And that's really useful for planning the future of a city, the future of built environment, because it involves lots of buildings. When you're planning buildings and a city, you want to know what you can see from any particular building and the way that an environment will look, and things like noise and wind and light will flow through them. So using 3D models of buildings is a really good way of planning.
I guess it's a little bit like a 3D movie where you get an impression of how it feels.
Yeah, that's kind of true, although it's probably more like Minecraft.
Right, so you've got a display here. Can you show us what the future of Christchurch will look like?
Absolutely. So this is the Liquid Galaxy display. This is a set of screens that are connected together and using Google Earth to show things in 2 and 3 dimensions. So if we just zoom in to the centre of Christchurch, this particular tool was used right from the launch of the Central City Recovery Plan Spatial Blueprint in mid-2012, and this initial instance of the Liquid Galaxy was developed by the University of Canterbury using some tools from Google. So what we're seeing here is the central city in 3D, and we're seeing the 3D models of the concept designs from the blueprint, so what a stadium might look like and what a convention centre might look like. Eventually those will get replaced by the real versions of 3D models of the actual designs before the buildings are built. Just on the bottom left there you can see the Justice and Emergency Services Precinct. That building construction is underway, so that's a 3D model of the actual building as it's going to be designed. And this tool enables people to explore what the central city is going to look like in the future once all of the construction's finished.
Okay, so in terms of designing, how does 3D help a designer make something more effective for the public?
So for an urban designer, so designing the whole way a cityscape will look like, it enables them to understand the impact of heights of different buildings on things like line of sight, and to use simulation and modelling tools to simulate the effects of shade and wind on parks and people and that sort of thing. For an architect, architects generally, in a situation that's not a disaster recovery where we've knocked down 75% of the buildings, they can see the building beside the building they're designing. So they can use their eyes to determine aesthetic fit and kind of functional fit in terms of the way that people will flow between buildings. Whereas in Christchurch at the moment they can't. They're designing almost blind. So being able to provide architects 3D models of the buildings around the buildings they're designing is really helpful, because it enables them to design better buildings and to visualise and communicate how the look of that building is going to fit within the look of the city around it.
Okay, so apart from this display, what other cool tools have you got?
Well, one of the exciting things about spatial data and about 3D in this case is that once you have an authoritative data set of all of the information you're trying to use, you can reuse that for a whole set of different purposes. So in Christchurch we were really fortunate to have a local architect by the name of Jason Mill who 3D modelled in Google Earth all of the buildings pre-earthquake. So we have authoritative data set of all of the 3D models of the buildings that existed in central Christchurch before the earthquakes. And those are being used in this Liquid Galaxy display. They're also available for download on the SketchUp or Trimble 3D warehouse site, and we've licensed or gotten Jason Mill to license those using the Creative Commons by attribution license. So anybody can download them and reuse them as long as they attribute Xeno Limited as the originator of those models.
So you can even make these little models here. How are they useful?
So once you've got a set of 3D models, you can do almost anything with them. You can, for example, use this augmented reality app to go and have a look at a building that's demolished once it's already gone. So using this, you can go around the central city and actually see the buildings that are gone in place. You can also use this particular visualization tool, which lets you point an iPad at a map of the city and look at the particular buildings. And then, as you've said, the coolest thing is that you can print out 3D models of the buildings. So these are using a 3D printer, and this is the Crown Plaza, which is gone, and the Grand Chancellor, which is gone, and the Ernst & Young building, which is still there. So you can use those to make physical models of the central city in order to help plan. You can even do things like I made a chess set of the demolished buildings for the demolition team at Sarah as a parting gift to them.
Excellent. So not just usable technology, but quite fun as well.